Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I am driving this. This is the Mercedes C-Class, the C300d, and as you can see, it looks a bit different from the C-Class I reviewed earlier, although both of them are the facelifted versions of the 4th generation of the C-Class. And you know the reason for this? Because the C300d is available only in the top of the line AMG Line trim. But before we get there, let me open the engine bay right away. And there you see, it's a similar looking engine because it is the same engine, but there are a lot of leaves. I don't know how they found their way all the way here. Yes, the motor is a bit diesely right now, but obviously there's good amount of insulation here. And straight away, just look at the vehicle. I mean, it obviously looks very different compared to the regular C-Class because of the AMG Line trim. Of course, you get different bumpers. You get this beautiful diamond-studded grille, which is there on the previous C43 as well. And of course, these multi-beam LED lights. Now, the other C-Class gets all LEDs. These are multi-beam lights which actually adapt to the traffic situation and what is in front of you. Again, these lights are absolutely sensational at night. They have this blue tinge here as well. And obviously, a single torch means this is the C-Class. Double torch means it's the E-Class. And the triple torch means it is the S-Class. The bumper is really very sporty. You can see this is for aerodynamics, and of course, it gets a side skirt as well. Now the wheels on this car are 18 inches. These are AMG wheels, 225/45 18s. Yes, low profile tires, and of course the wheels do look nice because they get this mattish sort of finish along with AMG written here. The tires also offer good amount of grip. Now these are Bridgestone Potenza tires. Meanwhile, as I keep walking around, let me show you one interesting bit about this vehicle, which happens to be the fact that the rear also gets this sporty treatment. You can see fake diffuser, exhausts also are fake. Rear diffuser is also fake because the exhaust is actually placed there. Dual exhaust there, but it will give you the impression of having exhaust here. By the way, some aftermarket kits are available for lower cars like the Verna. This fake diffuser like the C-Class. Any which ways, coming to the rear tires, now they are obviously bigger because the rear runs on 245/40 18. So like real low profile tires on this vehicle. Design is really nice. I love the way the C-Class looks like a mini S-Class. C300d written there. Rear parking sensors, of course. And let's quickly do a quick walk around the vehicle. So in terms of design, it does look sporty due to the AMG Line kit, and of course the fact that these lights are so sensational in terms of appearance. And not to forget that the diamond-studded grille looks absolutely beautiful. Let's open the boot right away, and there goes the practicality because the spare wheel, which isn't an alloy, which is a smaller size, is placed on the boot floor, not underneath it but on it, which is kind of a hiccup. And below this, obviously there is space to keep stuff, but yeah, that's mainly for the jack, and there are gloves also to operate the jack. And of course, there is not much space in the boot, but you can organize your stuff pretty well here. In order to close the boot, obviously you have to push it down. Meanwhile, let's get into the rear seat of the vehicle. Now here is the problem with the C-Class, all right? It doesn't offer much space at the rear, all right? Legroom is decent, knee room is decent. In fact, knee room is good, legroom is decent. But headroom is an issue because my head is almost touching the roof right now. Meanwhile, the door pockets are large enough here, and quality inside is really very nice. It's a Mercedes after all. So here, obviously you get sunblinds which are manually retractable, and that's not only the thing here. In fact, it also gets a rear sunblind here, 3 headrests, a center armrest. The center armrest obviously gets cup holders here, so you can press this to open them, and this thing also opens to reveal some space too. So practical in terms of storage spaces at the rear. However, you can see the transmission tunnel is massive, so you obviously cannot seat 3 at the rear, but the seat is extremely comfortable. Although under thigh support isn't the best, there's a recline angle on the seat, so in terms of back support, it's great. AC vents placed here, and there's of course an ashtray here along with a 12-volt charging socket as well. No AC vent placed on the B pillar. Scooped out seat bag, magazine holders here, and overall comfort at the rear is good as long as you're not a tall person. There's space to hold on to, and of course there's hook here, there's a hook here, there's a light placement here too, but there is no light placement in the center because of these dual roofs in this vehicle. Now of course this car gets something known as a panoramic roof, but it's not a one-piece roof. It is a 2-piece roof. That's something only Mercedes does. Instead, just give a big fat roof for a better airy feeling inside the cabin. The doors feel really solid. This is to open the boot. Door pockets are large enough. These are the controls for the power windows as well as the outside rear view mirrors. This is to lock or unlock the vehicle. Memory seats for both the front seats. Electric adjust for both the front seats as well. And of course, you also get lumbar support here. So this is where it differentiates itself from its lesser sibling, the C220d, because it gets a lot more equipment. And of course, you can save the memory settings for 3 people. Meanwhile, this is the parking brake, the electric parking brakes. These are the controls for the headlights. This is the start, engine, stop button, and of course it gets a massive dead pedal there as well. Love the way the pedals are very grippy there too. Straight away when I get inside, let me tell you, the seats are extremely comfortable. They get side bolsters as well, and there's no denying the fact that this Mercedes is actually made for the front passenger. Even the steering wheel has been revised. It gets a flat bottom. It's more chunkier to hold on to, and it gets a lot from the E-Class and the S-Class, because you obviously get these touch controls, all right, to browse to the menu here, or this touch control to browse to the menu there. Meanwhile, the horn is also very nice. There are contours here at the 3 and 9 o'clock position. Steering feels so nice to operate. Metallic touches feel really brilliant in this vehicle. Meanwhile, the center console gets this black wood finish, which also looks very nice and sporty. There's a clock here. These are the controls for the audio system, but the last two buttons are for different things. Like this is to get into the vehicle settings, and this is the hazard light button. Meanwhile, once you close this, it looks so fluid and nice the way the whole system flows. Meanwhile, below the front center armrest, there's space to keep stuff. There's an SD card slot along with 2 USB slots as well. The glove box, which is lockable by the way, is a decent size, but it doesn't open large enough. Meanwhile, there's a light placed inside here as well. The dashboard looks really very nice and sporty. I love it. Auto dimming inside your view mirror. There's a sunglass holder here, and I've already kept my sunglasses here, and they're kind of become warm right now. These are the controls for the light. This is to open the roof, and you can see the roof is massive, brings in a lot of airy feeling as well. I have to press it once again to open it, and you can see it opens decent enough for a person to hang his head out. I don't know why, but yes. And when you do it, it automatically pulls the sunblind here as well. So some smart touches here and there inside the vehicle, but most importantly, what you have to understand is this car has got a lot of airbags, very good quality, feels well put together, no panel gaps, very little hard plastics. I mean, some of the hard plastics are there, but overall finish of this vehicle is just phenomenal. So these are actually the controls for the air conditioning. 3 AC vents in the center, gets a new infotainment screen, which happens to be a 10.25 unit. Earlier it used to get a 7-inch unit. Now this is very fluid because it gets the new command system from the E-Class and has plenty of things to offer. So let me get into home, and you can see all the features are here. In fact, you can see all the features there as well. So if I get into home, I can see all the features here: radio, media, telephone, and whatnot, navigation, trip assistance service. So there are plenty of things in this console as well. And right now when I get into the back mode, I can just see what is the eco display like, and what is the, I mean, every information you would expect is there. But this is my best screen because obviously it tells me the gear position on the top, it tells me the range below, and it tells me the fuel consumption below that, and below that it tells me real-time fuel economy, and on the right it tells me exactly how much the alternator is being charged under heavy braking. So when you brake, that thing turns green, and that's also very nice. On the right we've got the tachometer, on the left we've got the speedometer, below that we've got the fuel meter, and below the tachometer we've got the temperature meter. Unfortunately, and it's very unfortunate, that it doesn't get a digital display, which cars of this segment are now offering, like the Audi A4 for example, and the new BMW 3 Series as well. Obviously there's a mirror along with a light here, same is the case there as well, mirror as well as a light, and there's storage space here as well, twin cup holders, and there is an ashtray below here along with a 12-volt charging socket, or rather you can call it the cigarette lighter. Yeah, this is the cigarette lighter. You can use it as a charging socket as well. And these are actually the controls for the audio system. Meanwhile, this is to turn on and off the screen. So the screen is off. If I turn it on, it will say Mercedes-Benz, and it will tell you, do not let command distract you while driving. A warning, don't let the system distract you from the traffic situation. And this is to open or close the rear sunblind. So if I press this, there the sunblind goes down. If I press it back, the sunblind comes up. This is to increase or decrease the volume. This is the home button. This is the back button. The back button is really not visible when you're driving, or rather when you're sitting on the driver's seat. These are to get into the various drive modes. If I get into the drive modes, you can see it shows it over here: Eco, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and Individual. And obviously it changes the screen here accordingly as you change the mode. So it tells you exactly what the engine, steering as well as the ESP system is in right now. So let me just put it into Sport Plus and then into Individual. Yeah, everything is in Sport Plus, which I have already tuned to. Now you can adapt it. Now if I get into Adapt, I can decide how I want the drive to be, whether I want the drive to be Eco, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, or Manual. That is the only manual mode you can get into. Steering, whether you want it in Comfort or Sport, and ESP if you want it into Comfort, Sport, or Sport Plus. Meanwhile, if you want to turn off traction control, you have to get into Vehicle, you have to get into Assistance, you have to get into ESP, and then you can turn it off. There's no button that you just press and traction control is turned off. So that's an effort which you have to take. Dual zone climate control display is over here, which you can see 18 degrees on this side, 18 degrees on that side as well, which can be changed to accordingly. And right now, if you want to sync them, you just press the sync button and get synced. So right now I'm just changing the temperature, 21 degrees here, 18 degrees here. And of course, the overall comfort of this vehicle is brilliant in terms of the driver's seat as well as the co-passenger seat. Not so much at the rear. Plenty of functions in this vehicle. In fact, this screen has so many many features now, it is kind of endless. Now it gets 64 color ambient lighting as well. Now if I get into reverse, here we are into reverse, that's the reverse parking camera. It gets adaptive guidelines as well. It doesn't get a front parking camera, but it gets front parking sensors. Now let me go back and let me get into light setting. Now this is the best feature about this car. In the ambient lighting, there are 64 color options. Yeah, that's right, 64 freaking color options, and this is obviously very fluid to use, this controller, the rotary knob, and it also takes touch inputs from here, so you can obviously move it like this as well. However, this is not a touchscreen. All right, like most Mercedes cars, it doesn't get a touchscreen system, which is a bit disappointing because you're just so used to using a touchscreen inside a vehicle right now. Anyways, getting back into the system, all the controls are here, very fluid to use. The graphics here are also very high resolution, and this system is also very fast as well. Now, I mean, there are a million features here or more probably, but I've already explained all this and more in my review of the Mercedes C-Class, the C300d. However, I have to play an audio, so let's play it right away. Audio quality is absolutely brilliant. Nothing shakes, nothing vibrates. It's just so freaking stable. And these are the controls for the gear selector, so you can select the gear from here. Yeah, that's right. Meanwhile, these are the controls for the wipers, and of course the wipers work really well. Now if I pull it like this, it works like a pass light switch. Now if I press this button, obviously the wipers work. The wipers work brilliantly well. There's a lot of spray as well, and it gets electric adjust for the steering wheel, both for reach as well as rake. Yeah, that's right, electric adjust. That's something which many of the cars actually do not get. That's again a very nice touch. However, I would have appreciated if it got passive entry, because that is something which I really look forward to. You can see the paddles are of very high quality. These are the controls for the cruise control, these are the controls for the audio system, and like I told you earlier, this is to browse through this screen and this is to browse through that screen, and this is a very slick system. The way it works is very nice as well. Of course, the main highlight of this vehicle is the engine, so let's get driving right away. Alright, we are all set to go, which means getting into drive, obviously turning off the ESP, and it's already in individual mode right now. So here we go, which means left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor, rev still on 2,500 RPM, and off we go. Immediately, let me tell you that the performance is really very brisk. Now this 2-liter diesel engine produces 6-cylinder levels of performance. Although this is a 4-cylinder, there's just ample amount of grunt on offer. I mean, it just pulls hard and fast right from get-go. There's so much grunt on offer from this motor. Now this produces 245 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque from its 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, and this is the OM654, the first Mercedes engine in India, the first 4-cylinder Mercedes engine in India to get BS6 compliance. That's the reason this obviously has DPF, which happens to be diesel particulate filter, and it also comes with SCR, which is selective catalytic reduction unit, and of course AdBlue is also there. So when you open the fuel lid cover, there is AdBlue, which has to be added at every service, I believe. Performance is really very brisk. There's good amount of punch lower down, there's good amount of punch in the mid-range, and it absolutely punches in the top end as well, because the gear shifts are so freaking quick that before you enjoy the top end, it's already in the next gear. Now this 9G Tronic gearbox is an absolute joy to use. It's a very fast with shifts. It gives you a downshift whenever you need it, but there are no manual control of things in the regular mode. Obviously in individual you can program it to get manual control of things, and when you do that, you can obviously use the steering mounted paddles to do the gear shifts, because obviously this car doesn't get a gear lever, so there is no Tiptronic function available on this vehicle. Now, did you notice one thing? It doesn't wheel spin even when you launch it aggressively, and the reason is that the tires on this car are extremely wide, and this is a brand new car done only 500 kilometers. So obviously the grip levels are also sensational. You don't do wheel spin because the grip is so much from these tires, and absolute sensational acceleration. In fact, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour takes just 5.9 seconds. Meanwhile, the top speed is close to 235 kilometers per hour. Now the same engine is used by the 220d as well. However, this one produces 50 horsepower more than 100 Newton meters more torque, and this C300d actually replaces the C250d of the pre-facelift C-Class. And when you're talking about the pre-facelift C-Class, let me compare it with the 3rd generation model. Yeah, a little bit of wheel spin now. So when Mercedes actually launched the 4th generation of the C-Class, they reduced the weight of the car compared to the 3rd generation model, and due to this weight reduction, in order to keep the car stable, they obviously had to stiffen the suspension as well as the chassis. Now with this update, the facelift, they have actually softened the suspension a bit, because the earlier car used to be kind of stiff. on bad roads. This car is still on the stiffer side, obviously, and the other problem is that this car is running on real low profile tires. The result is that on expansion joints and on bad roads you can feel a lot inside the cabin. In fact, there's a third inside, and mostly you can feel that the suspension is kind of busy. However, by 18-inch and low profile standards, the ride quality is pretty good. It remains stable at higher speeds, but through expansion joints it actually throws the car through, and you really have to catch it. So really this is not the car to be driven hard and fast over Indian roads, because bad roads are not the place where this car is comfortable at. And overall I would say performance is breathtaking, because the motor really revs very fast. In fact, the tachometer runs all the way to the 4,500 red line in no time at all. So performance is great, handling is brilliant, absolutely sensational handling, because it offers so much feel and feedback, and the steering has so much communication on offer. In fact, it is low at lighter speeds, and as you increase the pace it really weighs up brilliantly well. That is the level of handling on offer from this Mercedes C-Class, and it's more of a driver's car, I would say. This motor obviously is kind of frugal. It returns a mileage of around 12 to 14 kilometers per litre, which is quite respectable, and certainly this is a vehicle which will not make you miss the BMW 530d much, because it has almost 530d levels of performance in a lighter package. It is light. Meanwhile, the 5 Series obviously offers the best of both worlds, which is obviously comfort, luxury and performance. This is more oriented towards performance, and in that sense it absolutely excels. Now, should you pay 5 lakhs more over the C220 for this particular car, for the engine and obviously some cosmetic updates and the AMG line? Certainly yes, because performance is absolutely breathtaking, and it obviously looks much better than the regular C220 progressive trim. Yeah, a little bit of wheel spin on offer. When I was driving the C220, trust me, there was a lack of traction every time I turned off traction control. This car doesn't let you turn off traction control completely. I mean, you can obviously turn it off. However, even after turning it off, I think it's a bit intrusive. Meanwhile, in BMW, once you turn off traction control, it will not intervene at all. It will let you do as many wheel spins as you like. These tires offer great amount of grip. Now, there are 5 driving modes on offer in typical Mercedes fashion. Obviously, there is the Eco mode, which also has the stop-start system, which can be used in other modes as well. Meanwhile, there is Comfort, there's Sport Plus, and there's Individual. Now, these parameters obviously alter a lot of things. Mostly, it is the engine as well as the gearbox and the traction control levels as well. You can put the traction control, or rather the ESP in Mercedes speak, into Sport or Sport Plus as well. Or you can turn it off, and right now it is turned off, and it doesn't really scare you silly, because the Mercedes system will somehow intervene if it feels that there's just too much lack of grip on offer. Just look at that Mercedes bus. Anyways, the C-Class is available in 4 variants. Okay, there's the base C220d, then there is a higher variant of the C220, the base variant, and this one there's a price difference of 10 lakh. That comes for 48 lakhs on road, this comes for 58 lakhs on road, and the top of the line C220d variant comes for 53 lakhs. So again, a price difference of 5 lakhs. For additional 5 lakh rupees, you get a lot in terms of performance, obviously a lot more features, a sporty body kit too, and of course if you're looking for the full banana, then opt for this particular variant. However, the C220d is also more than enough. By the way, there's a petrol as well, the C200, which I'm yet to drive, and now recently they launched the C43. There's obviously the C63, the facelift of the C63 will also come, and trust me on this, there is no better car in the world than the C63, because it is just so eager in terms of how it corners and how it drives, making it one of my absolute favorite cars of all time. Yes, this C-Class does feel a lot light on its feet. It does weigh in around 1500 kgs. It is a rear-wheel drive, which Mercedes likes to call as the MRA platform, which happens to be modular rear architecture. And in terms of overall performance and handling, this C-Class really delights. The Mercedes C-Class is, in my opinion, the entry-level vehicle from the Mercedes brand. However, obviously you have the CLAs, the A-Class, the B-Class, the GLA, and all these cars as well. But for me personally, I would always call the C-Class as the entry-level, because it's a rear-wheel drive, and a Mercedes has to be a rear-wheel drive, or it should be four-wheel drive, like in the case of the E63 AMG. I absolutely love this car for its nimble nature, but somehow I'm not very happy with the ride quality, and especially knowing about the low-profile rims on this particular vehicle. I'm kind of scared driving it fast over bad bumps, because I know rims can get cracked very easily. That said, I still find the C220d to be the more practical choice in terms of lesser cost of purchase, in terms of more fuel efficiency, and of course more practical rims as well. So guys, this is my review of the Mercedes C-Class, a car which I feel is one of the best cars from the German manufacturer, and also the pick of the segment, unless and until the BMW 3 Series is launched. And once the new 3 Series comes, it's again battle royale between BMW and Mercedes-Benz. And if you like this video, you know what you have to do. Give it the thumbs up, that's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video real soon. Bye bye. And by the way, I forgot to tell you one thing, that the motor, although refined lower down at idle and city speeds, you know, once you push it in the mid-range, you can hear a lot of this engine. Yeah, it does get vocal, ground clearance isn't an issue. And we've got a Mercedes cheerleader with us. Hi Neha, what's up?
Hi.
Look at the camera, say hi.
Hi.
And can you return my cap now? Return my cap.
Return, give back my unicorn and my teddy.
Look here, look in the camera once. Neha, so what do you think of this Mercedes C-Class? In the camera and talk. What do you think about the Mercedes C-Class?
It's good.
You drive a C-Class very frequently, right?
Yeah.
So how do you find this C-Class in comparison? 1 second, now talk.
Yeah, it's very good. It's nice.
Really, is it?
Yeah.
On that bombshell, we shall end this video and the vlog. Bye-bye.